She's piled up and smoking. Getting pretty hot inside here with all this goodness. Today we're going to be filling the garden with this goodness and a lot of other goodness. But before we do that, we're going to start out by just coaxing some of our plants we left in. We did not tear them out. We're just going to lean them to the side. Try not to crack them too much. We're using dead plants we didn't tear out to build soil fertility for next year. This video is going to be part 2 of a video series I'm doing on how I clean up my no-till permaculture garden. And if you're lazy like me, you're going to love this method. So if you enjoy the process I'm using here, go ahead and give the video a like. And if you haven't seen part 1, stop the video now and go check it out. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that now. Other than that, let's go ahead and pick up where we left off, and let's give nature everything she needs to build some soil fertility. So if you can recall in step 1, basically all we did was take out diseased plants. We stressed the fact that we wanted to leave everything else to die back on its own. Because when a plant dies back on its own, it gives back all that good stuff it took from the soil to grow. And that's why we're just taking everything, folding it right over where it grew, just to coat our beds. If it's not in the bed, get it back in the bed. Stuff like these dying beans on here. I'm going to pull them off this fence so these beans are laying on the ground, but I'm not tearing them out by the roots. We want those roots to rot under the soil. When I'm going through and folding down all these plants, I also like to assess the situation and see if I have any weeds growing that I don't want. So I don't do much weeding throughout the season because I think weeds help the garden out a lot. A lot of the pests will go for the weeds over your plants. But at this time of year, I got stuff like all this plantain here. I'm just going to go ahead, yank her out, shake off the soil, and we'll just take this and put it right on top of all the other stuff. I got a lot of this nasty grass over here, the kind of stuff that travels by rhizomes underground. It's really hard to get rid of this stuff. In a situation like this, I might be layering some more cardboard down. Plain brown cardboard is great for your garden. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You might have some volunteer beans next year. You know you're building good soil when you have radishes that look like this. This thing is an absolute monster radish. So we're just working our way along here, throwing everything on the surface. Now, this might not look beautiful to some people, but if you're focusing on building soil, this is beautiful. And this is just a start. We're going to add a lot more stuff to this to make it even better. Let's take a look at some of the goodness we are going to be putting in the garden. Over here, we have some of the compost we made in the back, sifted it, so we have this nice, smooth, crumbly compost. Here, we just have some leaves and grass clippings from mowing the lawn. It's been sitting here for 2 days now, so it's getting really hot and steamy inside. Look at that heat coming off of there. The composting action has already started. We used the 18-day composting method, and we took a bunch of materials and we made this 18-day compost. It's been sitting for about 3 months now. Over here, we have some scraps from inside the chicken house. Got some hot manure in it, but that's going to be okay because we're putting it in the fall. And then my favorite here, we have compost from the chicken run in the chicken composting system. Sifted out. This stuff is amazing. So what I'm going to do now is just go through here and take this stuff and mix it up randomly in this wheelbarrow, and we're going to take it in the garden and spread it out. Just randomly taking everything to get a nice mixture going in here.
What are you doing?
Making a nice mixture. Last year, I noticed when I had all my surface mulch down and it was mixed with compost or dirt, it broke down a lot faster. And it turned into my most fertile ground. In the end, the worms are going to do most of this for us, but we're giving them a head start here. We're giving them something that they can crawl through nice and easy. We're feeding the microbes that are already in this compost so they have more to eat. And in the spring, this is all going to be stuff we could plant directly into. The best part of this stuff is everything is free. Now you could take this and just dump it out and rake it all over, but I don't like to do it like that. I like to take handfuls and just move it across. I do it like this because I don't know when I'm gonna run out. We're already off to a fantastic start just having our dead plants in place. And if you wanted to, you could leave it like that. So this is just extra we're adding in here. So I want to make sure I spread it everywhere in my garden and don't run out. I'd rather have a little goodness spread out over a larger area than have a lot of goodness just in one spot. So I'm just starting out with a thin coat for now. And once I go through everything in the garden, I can come back and keep adding to this. Over the fall and winter, the precipitation is going to move a lot of this stuff down towards the soil. The nutrients will leak into the soil. And this is going to create a really nice warm layer. And you'd be surprised. You can come out here in the dead of winter and move this, and there are worms just inches below the surface working on this. They're going to be eating this. They're going to be digesting it, pumping worm castings into the soil. They're going to be moving these nutrients all throughout the soil because worms are nature's tiller. We do not need to till this into the soil. Nature will do it for us. Common misconception is that we fertilize plants. What we should be doing is focusing on building soil. Soil fertility is what grows healthy plants. Soil should be alive. It is an underground ecosystem. When you have good soil, the living organisms in that ecosystem will bring all the good stuff where it needs to go. That is why we don't till the soil, because you have the underground fungal network. We don't want to damage that. The fungal network is a nutrient highway. You don't need all these materials to make this work. You can just use what you have. If you got grass clippings, just throw down grass clippings. Leaves are free. People put them on the side of the road. Compost by the yard, that's also relatively cheap. Use what you have. This is what I'm aiming for right here. Got a nice, decent surface coating, rich in organic matter. Still working on some of these other beds. I still have some compost and other materials left over, so we're going to keep adding to those as well. And that's the beauty of this. It's not a one-shot deal. You don't have to come out here and do everything all at the same time. You got all winter, and that's a long time. Last thing I'm going to do here, since I'm happy with where we're at, I'm going to use the grass clippings and leaves I have to just put a nice, thin, even coat on the surface to really seal this in. A little bit of extra warmth for our worm friends. When I'm doing this work, I just like to think to myself of how awesome this is going to be to plant into next spring. And there we go, looking pretty good. Still got a lot of garden left to do, but that's all right, because I got all winter to do it. Can never get bored out here. Thanks for watching.